My dear, would you kindly bring the suitcase? Kayaka requested, his tone unchanged from its casual, calm demeanor. Amin nodded and stood gracefully, disappearing into the manor. Tengen remained kneeling, his mind racing. He hadn't expected such a swift and positive reaction from Kayaka. Honestly, he figured the sum he requested would be way too much for even the wealthiest of men. But Kayaka, willingness to help, left him speechless. The silence was punched by the sound of soft padding of Ame's footsteps as she soon stood and returned holding the medium-sized silver briefcase in her arms, which she then placed on the floor. She then opened the briefcase and clicked, and Tengen gasped. Inside were tightly packed wads of currency notes. Never, in his whole life, had he seen such a sum. Tengen watched as Ami took out a large wad of cash and placed it in her husband's hands. Kayaka felt the thickness of the bundle and nodded. Here, this should be enough, he said simply, and Tengen stared at the money in Kayaka's hands, his eyes wide with astonishment. He hadn't expected such a simple solution to his problem. The sound pillar opened his mouth to speak, but he was at a loss for words. The weight of the situation hit him like a ton of bricks. He felt dizzy, his legs feeling weak. Sensing the hesitation, Kayaka cocked his head slightly to the side, a knowing smile playing on his lips. Tengen, what is wrong? Granted, Tengen didn't expect the leader of the demon-slaying course to have such and much cash lying around. Now it's no surprise Kayaka was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but to actually have this amount of immense wealth left Tengen immensely speechless. The demon-slaying course was a secret organization, not funded by the government, which meant that all of their resources and wealth had to come from somewhere. Like, seriously, just how wealthy is the Ubushiki clan? It's a mystery considering every demon slayer could ask for whatever amount he or she wanted from Kayaka. Tengen swallowed hard, his gaze staring longingly at the money. What if he accepted the money? Would he look desperate, greedy, materialistic in Kayaka and the other Hashiro's eyes? Okiyama-sama. Tengen finally spoke, his voice still slightly trembling with emotion. I'm truly grateful for your kindness, but this isn't right. Taking money from a sick man who's been nothing but kind to him without a good explanation of earning it. The very thought made Tengen's stomach churn. He didn't want to burden Kayaka with his personal troubles, especially when the man was already dealing with so much. Though he had promised Yen that he'd handle her debt, the reality of receiving such a large sum from Kayaka was a heavy burden on his consciousness. I can't possibly accept such a generous offer, Tengen said, his voice filled with a mix of awe and hesitation. Your kindness is overwhelming, and now I realize it was too much to ask. Kayaka's expression did not change. Nonsense, Tengen. I insist. You take it. You asked for help, therefore, I shall provide it. Tengen clenched his jaw, feeling tears prick at the corner of his eyes. He was now torn between his lover for Yin and his respect for Kayaka. On one hand, he would save Yin, and her debts would be free, and make her his fourth wife. On the other hand, he wouldn't want to take advantage of Kayaka's happiness, especially knowing the man's fragile state. This was a mistake. He should have come up with a different plan. But here he was, asking for money from the very person he had promised never to burden. It was like a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. He didn't want to be a parasite leeching off of his wealth. No. The words was out from Tengen's mouth before he had even realized it. He was shocked by his own outburst, but his resolve was firm. He couldn't accept Kayaka's money. With this, He tossed his pride out the window and bowed in dozen until his forehead touched the floor. "I'm sorry for my insolence, Okitama-sama," he said, his voice strained. "You are far too kind, but I must decline your offer." Kayaka's smile remained unfaltering. Without a word, the leader of the demon-slaying corps stood from his seated position, with the help of his wife, Ame, and approached Tengen's kneeling form. He reached down and placed a firm hand on the latter's back, signaling him to lift up from his bow. "Tengen, your concern for my well-being is admirable, but do not let pride stand in the way of your happiness or the happiness of this girl." He gently placed a hand on Tengen's shoulder. "I understand your hesitation, but as your Okitama-sama, I want you to accept it," Kayaka said firmly. "This is my way of supporting your happiness." Tengen slowly stared up in awe at the man, his eyes widening slightly, watering as well. He couldn't believe Kayaka was so understanding and generous. Now, in jest, Tengen would boastfully proclaim to be the god of the flashiness and bravado. But in the face of such a genuine kindness, he felt small and humble. Tengen recalls his father telling him kind people don't exist, and that the world is a cruel place. If sheep wish to survive in a world filled with wolves, it must become one. But here was Kayaka, the kindest man he'd ever met, offering him a fortune like it is nothing. Besides, 10 million yen is worth nothing to the Udurashiki clan. It is no less. Take it as a gesture of goodwill, not a loan. By the way, 13 million yen is around 88,000 and I think 300 yen if I'm correct. Anyways, let's continue. The blind man added, but Tengen opens his mouth to protest, but the warmth from Kayaka's hand on his shoulder was like a genuine reassurance. "All I ask in return is that you bring Yin home and give her a happy life. Until then, continue your duty as a Hashira." The weight of Kayaka's words hit Tengen like a sledgehammer. Yet, no words could express the depth of his gratitude or the tormenous sea of emotion churning within him. The very air felt thick with unspoken understanding, as if the very fabric of the universe knew the significance of this moment. Slowly, Tengen smiles, the damn feeling breaking his tears slowly. "Thank you, Kayaka," he says, his voice hoarse with emotion. Hey guys, of course, pre-recorded message right here, but who cares? I hope you guys enjoyed, and once again, I will not be posting tomorrow because I don't want to say partying away. I will probably just be playing video games with my friend. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Love you all so much. Bye! Mwah!